Then I try my best to go line by line and flag business for you.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
What they fail to realize, well, wading in the water is analysis of what opacity looks like in a good sense. They never critique this, so you give us full weight of this example of wade in the water, why it is true. Wading in the water is something that was used, that the slaves sung to know to get in the water so the slave masters then could not track them. Through the entirety of this visibility debate, they conflate visibility with opaque. A couple things wrong with that. Visibility is to be seen. Like that metaphor they use in cross-sex is very damning. It was like, what you gonna do when the police come in here and shoot me? We're saying that we already stole the information to protect you in that situation. Look at all these white faces inside the room. Why are they not innocent bystanders? Why won't we put them in front of the bullet instead of letting you get shot? Also, they don't never say why this space is key or why it gives them any type of power inside the academy. They simply make a couple of claims. The first claim that they make is, this political realm is key, but they make a damning cross-sex concession. This space is not always good. This space is inevitably going to be violent towards our bodies. So in that scenario, you like strike all their arguments that they made about this political space being good. And did that. Now real quick, just flagging a couple pieces of their evidence. Their false evidence is going to be the most important piece of evidence in this debate. It's like the biggest link inside this round. The AFT is not only giving up the knowledge, but gave them the right to open up a department. The department says, oh look, we support your way. Whether you're black or white, man or woman, human, non-human, gay or straight, we're doing it for you. Doing what? You being a beautiful situation to our glorious institution. Now is key to change everything that we're doing inside the world. They control all of the resources. They in control of what we got or what we're going to say. They take all the stuff that they say in the one they see over and over to control the idea that there's like an endless amount of violence produced on our body. If anything, the status quo is yes, violent, but they inherently make the violent worse. Their first piece of false evidence says, indeed, the unlikelihood cases of documented all suggested that it would be safe, yet regardless of the location, time, and period, no enslaved man would be safe around from the sexual threat of abuse. Shows that heard by the state, and then that movement is then co-opted. They even have inside their evidence reasons why they cannot solve, or reason why that transparency is bad. Because if that violence is on inevitably happen, there's nothing the 1AC do to change that. Also, the second piece of false evidence says that he notes that the literature idealized the black male bodies in a manner that included unusual forces of height, masculinity, were already being studied. They're only given more ammunition when they do the description of the historical analysis. I understand this might seem like it's a little bit of case, but this is where like we access this space. They say that the materialization of history is key. Like we just say we need to know about our history. That's very damning when the top of the poem, you read something that talks about the violence intentionally done to black bodies, not nobody else, black bodies. But then you also read the position of the matriarch, to which you say, embrace that history, know that history. Over and over again throughout the entirety act of the 1AC and even in the 2AC, they say knowledge is key, history is key, and then they confine it to the specific scholarship of IR. That's how they'll get co-opted inside this space. All right, now on no more proper, I guess, real quick. They say the law is anti-black. The law is white. We will concede that the law is white. We agree the law is white, so we must find a strategy that helps us like inside this space. And they also give an example of opaque being white. Cross-apply this analysis. White people use racism, not opacity. That explanation that he gave in cross-sex about them separating the Africans from darker skin to lighter skin is them being racist, not them being opaque. There's nothing opaque about that. They're like, this is what we're gonna do, and we did it. And they also say that we broke our performance in cross-sex. Then they read a dimmer card. We didn't break anything, tell them anything. You heard me the entire time. Shh, the slave master's coming. I told you and told you time again. At the end of this round, you put a half on that ballot, the slave master would be here, and they gonna get whipped. They also say no link. They only say leaving, learn about history, cross-apply analysis that was done above. But even in that specific situation of that black history, they talk about how they engage with it, how they want to change, what is the linkage per se of their pursuit. They say that these are anti-black in structure, and we have to oppose them. We have to learn the history of the slave in order to account for today. They also say right wing is raging war. That's a Grok 7 evidence. Go ahead and group all of their Jarol 12, 13, and 14 evidence. Opacity solves best inside this situation. Our approach is key to settling useless innocent anthropology to exist within inside the state. 489. One does not need to seek an employment within the Pentagon. To provide a useful inventory of involuntary support of national security to those of the U.S., one is to produce useless anthropology and not to be mindful of the consequences of how it can be used. To support the agendas that has been limited of awareness. Thus, the size of the report, creation of useless anthropology. More of us need to share the goal of the useless research, make worthless contributions, useless to empire domination, regimes of scrutiny, insecurity, inspections, and the topics of repulsive to scientists are always questioned. The anthropology on both withdrawal is resistance, free from false dilemma, liberating ourselves from our own best hostages. The idea of the refuse further engagement is the international traffic of information and knowledge of supporters that work inside the empire, the capital of state. There's no such thing as innocent anthropology. Useful object neutral and scientists already use buzzword anthropology to align themselves with power. Criticism of political power support the scientists. If you oppose military objection, you are base. We are not at the attention of the elites. We've got it now. In our minds, the military, the state is on us. I have already invented the pool of imperialism, a simulation to which we are anything else. But serving imperialism is routinely called retreating from the world. Asking the question to open up open work to use to seek domination and control of the people that study. There are ways that we can work around this. There's openness, more sophistication, choosing the projects which is national security state are entirely useless. What we cannot do is pretend that the innocent about it. It is simply to leave it here today. And they also say this debate space is key. Cross-apply the overview analysis of they said that this space is not always safe. So for those reasons, you strike that down. And there's no articulation come out of the 2AC why this space is safe, not even for us or particularly his spot. Do not allow any new 1AR spins. They also read 2 pieces of James evidence that says use of narratives inside this space is key. Cross-apply the analysis that was done above, but this space is not key because it's harmful to our body. What if somebody get up and read hedge good against me? Am I supposed to push my blackness or the idea of what I am as an identity to the back burner? Or am I supposed to just like inevitably embrace hedge? Hedge in that scenario of how it is violent towards me. Should I just embrace whiteness and glow with the flow? Also, opacity is the only way to go. Walker 11. Ethics of opacity is more of a sanction regarding the actions of behavior of oppressive cultures. It is to be seen as the issue of the heart. Ethics of opacity is defined as a critical moment or orientation liberation articulated by the opaque one. It is the intellectual posture that disrupts the dominant of modernity in exploring the hidden and unknown. Repressive the subversion of narratives, histories, epistemologies, sites of opacity of the condition of a possibility of contemporary world. Ethics of opacity is one that contributes the ability to effect the deconstruction of the mechanism by which is the springs we continue to be opaque in ourselves. Attributing to this origin of societies, imagery has been reality, our own agency. Programming reprogramming our desires, behaviors, minds is a way that we can be more specific in implication, reimagining forms of world, open in society, impacting the possibilities of critical theory of knowledge in which we largely invested and underside those levels of modernity. As a stepchild of the Western language and culture, precedent affirmed the present idea of enlightenment, post-enlightenment worlds. In the midst of ambiguity, experience must be rooted in the meaning of their bodies and their valuable works. Card, it works. And also, you become the Black Wall Street. Like the place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, got shot up and shot down because the government knew that the community was growing and circulating money in the town. USFG said F that and bombed Tulsa. Even when they win, opacity is bad, we win that transparency is a diss at an entirety of case. Rodriguez 12. U.S. Academy remains institution itself. The foundation of examples of academy, paradigmatic order in the bodies, everyday dehumanization illustrates a system of logic, which is the rhetoric, epistemology, violence, and powers of academies is the colonial foundation. Dehumanization exceeds the effects of the academy of neoliberation. Rich colonial genocide, logical the human extermination, encompasses the extent of the temporal, cultural, biological, and territorial dimensions. Lineage between posts of political, intellectual, and creativity, organized through collectivity in searches of extremists about foundations. Cut card at foundations. One last thing, I want to make this important. Like flag this. They do not give a roll of the ballot. So the roll of the ballot is to affirm that Elijah needs to make a phone call, so a nigga needs to take prep. And ready for cross X. Yeah. We need to affirm that Elijah needs to make a phone call, so one of us niggas need to take prep.
Okay.
So if I take prep before the 1AR, you get the roll of the ballot?
Nah, because you didn't read it.
No.
You got to talk about why that's good to give them prep.
But we meet your roll of the ballot, don't we?
Yeah, even if you meet the roll of the ballot, you got to impact that out. Why is it a good thing that you affirm that he needs to go make a phone call? Okay. Hey, you're right, but I'm telling you what you got to do to win. And that's enough to take prep.
All right.
If that was the case, let me do it in the 1 and R.
Yeah, above, you talk about weight in the water. Would you know what weight in the water means without evaluating history?
What do you mean without evaluating history?
Like, how would you know the meaning of weight in the water as you just explained it in front of this room, in front of white people? How would you know what that means if there was no historical analysis?
My grandma?
So your grandma told you, right? Is that not
How's it
historical analysis?
What is historical analysis?
Learning about history.
And what forms of learning?
Would you know what weight in the water means without history?
Can you, I don't understand what you're asking, bro. What is the historical analysis? I'm trying to give you the best answer I can.
Historical analysis. Studying history over time.
All right, how is that history being studied? Is that academic scholarship? Is that the personal language in which you critique? Is that the oral storytelling that you critique, that you say is something that we should do?
Yes.
So you're saying we should do all of the above?
How do you know what weight in the water means?
Are you saying we should do all of the above? Are you saying we should participate in the academy with this historical analysis?
In terms of historical analysis?
Yes.
You agree?
No, I'm asking you.
You're asking me, okay.
Oh my gosh, I did it again. Can we let the beat drop?
No, we gotta make that. Let's see. You talk about how opening up a department, how is that uniquely bad?
All right, because they frame you as like, you're this good idea, so we're gonna stand behind you. All while they're like exploiting your narratives, exploiting your body to do things to make it seem
So,
like it's...
within your interpretation of opacity, should we read race arguments in debate?
Should we do what?
Should we talk about race in debate?
What is a race argument?
Okay. Sounds like the answer's no.
I don't know what you mean by race arguments. Race argument mean a lot of things. White people always generalize what
You
race
talked about like
arguments
you
mean.
can't use your
when we
race
talk
to
about
argue
blackness?
hedge in the speech.
Do you mean
Should
that...
you use your race to talk about hegemony?
I say hegemony is bad. What you mean?
Exactly. So should you use your race to talk about?
How am I using my race is my question. I don't understand what you're asking.
By reading identity arguments in debate, should they be read? Is the app a good thing?
No.
Okay.
I'll take a little prep so you can make a phone call.
All right.